So at this point, I think we can call to order and roll call, please.
Manning. Thompson. Here. Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove.
Here.
Frank.
Here.
Severson. Fleming. You have 4 for a quorum, sir.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Approval of the open meeting law compliance. I saw it posted downstairs. Everything else was good. Awesome. Thank you. Approval of agenda. We have an 11-point agenda. Looking for motion to approve that agenda. Motion from Cosgrove, second by Thompson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. That's approved. Moving on, approval of the minutes for March 6, 2026 meeting. Great. Hopefully I had a chance to look at that. Motion to approve those minutes. Motion by Thompson, second by Cosgrove. Discussion? None. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. That is approved. Item number 6, public comment. Any public comment? Let's start from the room here first. I don't have any sheets. Any public comment at this point from the room? Hearing none. Anybody online? Any public comment online? More time. Any public?
Just Carrie, I'm letting you know that I'm online.
All right, Carrie, thank you. Just saw your text come in. Thank you. All right, adding Carrie onto the list. So thank you, Carrie. Any other public comment? Questions? All right, moving on. Item number 7, the Drift List 2026 Drift List Music Garden Safety Plan presentation. We have it in our packets. Please come on up and.
Thank you for having me. My name is Cricket Lochner with Driftless Music Gardens. This is our 11th season that we're about to enroll in, and we are under Richland County ordinance of public gathering of 2,000 people. So I'm just here on transparency to ask if there's any concerns or questions of what may have happened last year or any considerations that we need to take into consideration for moving forward. One of the questions that I had brought, there's 2 questions that I bring to the table today. We have artists that arrive in 18-ton buses or 30-ton semi, and I just want to make sure that the routes to get to Yuba, those bridges can handle those weight loads. I have no idea, so that's one of the questions that I asked today, if there's any concern for 18 or 30-ton vehicles going across any of the bridges in Richland County going towards Yuba.
Okay, I think that's something we have to bring up to the highway commissioner, because offhand, I don't know what those bridge restrictions, I can't believe they wouldn't, but I certainly am not gonna presume on that. That's something we can get back to you on. I think we can have the highway commissioner follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
What's your first date for that?
Our first event is June 11th through the 13th.
Okay. All right, so we can follow up on that with you.
Second question I had, traffic influx. So as where Driftless Music Gardens is located, we're right on the edge of Richland County and Vernon County. And I'm questioning, how is information communicated to Vernon County for additional support? For example, this past June, we were informed by Vernon County that it was asked for support from Richland County because of the increase of traffic to the area. And the officer that I spoke with from Vernon County, because they ended up driving into my property to turn around, and I asked them what was the influx. They had received an email from their sergeant saying that there was 10,000 people. And so that meant my transparency of coming to this meeting last year, that took all 5 events that I held, and that number ended up getting translated to Vernon County that I was having 10,000 people, which would have been over the ordinance.
Okay.
So I'm just curious on how information is translated to the next county for traffic influx.
So are you in Vernon County also?
No, I'm in
Or
Richland.
just Richland County? Okay.
Very close to the line.
I'm right on the line.
Yeah. I would say that normally what would happen would be we would put in a request, but I don't know that we put any specific request in for additional help. So they must have gotten a call from somebody in the area, or because I don't know that we put in for any specific request for additional assistance up there. And typically, we've not had an issue with your venue. And
Right, I have a really good report, and that's why I'm a little, I was a little taken back.
Yeah,
Because he read verbatim of what his sergeant had sent out to officers to help monitor that area. And it did state that it was 10,000 people for that particular weekend. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, I would actually have a police station on site, an EMS on site, and be paying for permits for all that additional influx.
Was that a Vernon County officer that was?
And they drove into my property. And they said, oh, we were just turning around, we missed Muncie, and I'm like, that was a big turnaround. So I was a little taken back, especially when I'm running my events, and I do run a very tight ship. So that was,
did they show you that? Okay, all right.
and that's why I'm like, how is communication coming? Because I'm like, I've only spoken to Richland County in regards to my transparency, because I don't have to go back to Vernon. Anyways, so thank you for clearing that up. Next, do you have any questions in regards to any improvements or concerns that may have surfaced last year?
Sheriff, do you have anything reference that? While you're thinking, I want to say thank you for your documents. Thank you for the number of events that you have and the organization that you have with this. I think over the years, it's been remarkable. It's wonderful. So.
We're excited to be bringing people to the area.
Oh, yeah, and yeah.
The average travel time for people to come to our events is 4 hours, and we're expanding that to 8 hours. Last year, we're getting people from the Dakotas, and like, yes, we get coast to coast, but on an average, it's a solid 4 hours that people are traveling in to come here.
And do you know offhand where people are generally staying? Because this is a multi-day event.
Ideally, we try to have them on site,
Right.
Because it's 3 days of live music. We have food vendors, everything that you need, so you don't technically have to leave. But people are hitting up the local hotels, Airbnbs. I know Yuba, their Airbnbs book out right away, and there's like 6 of them, but still, as soon as we release an event, they're getting booked. I know Hillsborough, the parks, like Wildcat Mountain, they're also getting influx of campers coming in because of our events. Rustic Ridge, is it Alana?
Alana Springs.
Yeah. They're also seeing the benefits of people coming in.
It's good. Okay, then. Sheriff, did you have anything referenced last year?
Nothing that I can think of, but what I do is I might just reach back out to my staff and just say if there was anything, but I don't recall, again, like I said earlier, I don't recall us not really ever having much for issues up there. And I'm thinking back to the times that maybe we have had to go there, which have been pretty few. Usually your staff are pretty organized in helping us get to where we need to be there. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I know with the event that happened in September, we beefed up our details in regards to, let's see, what page is that? Page 7 of the document that I provided, fire and rescue, and dealing with mental health crisis as well. So in September, there was a call that was made into Richland County by one of my security guards that had ended up losing his marbles, to put it short, and did not follow our protocol, and ended up making an unnecessary statement and call into the county. And we've now went in a little bit more detail if we ever had to do an evacuation. We're much more prepared to handle that on site if that had to be put into effect. And like mental health, this individual ended up losing their marbles, and how to check those signs before it elevates to the point that it did elevate to. There were flags, but when you look at behavioral health, it's really hard to make some of those decisions without knowing when that light switch is gonna go off, so to speak. So I do feel like we're better organized to handle unique situations like that now. And I'm sorry for what may have been the ball rolling for the county too, because that it was not the intention that we'd ever want to erase.
And I guess if you do have any questions or if you want to walk through, I mean, because you do always, you come to us with a pretty well planned out, emergency plan and stuff like that. If you do ever want input or help with that stuff, when you're looking to revamp things, please reach out. And as far as, any security concerns or that stuff on the grounds from a law enforcement standpoint, even fire, that's not our arena, but we can help with that, at least put you in the right direction on that stuff. Please reach out.
Yeah.
We're happy to work with you.
And I'm glad to see like what has evolved from that scenario, like even the townships, because I think everybody's game plan of if that situation happened of how the trickle down effect works. And like I know with Township of Bloom, they're taking strides and making better emergency evacuation plans and being just a little bit more prepared for those unknowns.
Excellent.
Well, I thank you for your time today, and I'm excited for an upcoming year, and I hope some of you may get a chance to come out and see what we have to put on.
I think it's awesome. Again, thank you.
Do you have a website? I do. There, I did bring a couple of flyers.
Excellent, because I've never heard of this before.
Oh, just outside of Hebo by 2 miles. Took the family farm and turned into I don't farm, but I'm real good at networking.
Okay, so
Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your work on this and your communication. Awesome. Thank you. Any from the committee first, any questions from the committee for Cricket? All right, hearing none. Thank you again. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 8, reports. Sheriff.
So I don't have bills in for the month here, but I'll bring back the last month bills next month when I report again next month. So the February report. I'm in the wrong.
Yeah, we have just squad miles in our.
Yeah, sorry, I was in the wrong one. Here we go. March report. Number of jail bookings, we had 40 on the month. So stayed pretty consistent from February. Average number of inmates house was 32. We had 365 monthly complaints into the dispatch center. Traffic citations issued were 51, 0 for warnings, 31 civil process papers served, and 9 transports for the month. Average number on electronic monitoring was 4. For dispatch activity, we had 616 calls for service into the dispatch center, 101 calls for EMS, 123 calls for the police department, and 16 calls for Richland Center Fire. Additionally, I wanted to mention we had 1 inmate housed out of county in Grant County for 27 days. And so with housing and medical for that inmate, we had a total of $1,486.53.
$1,500
Yeah,
for 1 month.
yeah. So
For
when-
one inmate.
One inmate, and it's
For 1
a
month.
sentenced inmate that we don't have space for. So we don't have I don't want to say it, we don't have correct housing for classification for that.
Correct.
For that individual, so.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Any questions?
Questions? All right, moving on. Anything else on? You have the squad report in here.
I do have the squad report, any
On that,
questions on
we
that?
identified.
How's it coming with getting the new squad cars?
So we have, we have two new vehicles that we have, that are waiting for upfitting, and we're waiting on the third vehicle to be delivered. So, yep. So, hopefully should be going out for upfitting sometime this month, hopefully in the next week or two. And then we're waiting on that last vehicle to get to the dealership. Yep.
Any questions for the sheriff, department activities, monthly bills, which we'll catch up on next month on this? Right, hearing none, moving on to the coroner, department activities. There is a document in our folders, and there it is on the screen for Coroner Rosing's report. Everybody has a chance to look at that. Nothing else on the coroner then, moving on to the circuit court judge.
Well, the judge wasn't able to make it this morning, but she wanted to let the group know that she's continuing to work on court security issues.
Okay.
That always seems to be an ongoing issue.
Yes.
So that's all I have to report for the.
Perfect, that's fine. That is definitely a topic that's been consistently being working on.
Yes.
All right. Courthouse security report, I guess that's kind of anything new on that at this point?
I don't know if Devin has anything to comment on. I see she is online. We did meet fairly recently. And we are working on some training dates, getting some stuff on the schedule for courthouse and county staff, not just courthouse staff, but working on getting some training for staff and stuff like that.
And we made note of next year's court security conference in Appleton.
Okay.
That will start now to plan so that Richland County does send a team to that. Ideally, that would be a team of court, law enforcement, and administrative or, and or county board, like policy folks to that, the more the merrier. I had received the information, I tracked down like the dates and all that stuff and had forwarded that on to the administrator, and we'll talk about that more at the next court security conference and make sure everybody's aware of those and that we have a solid plan in place. It's an excellent conference. It's a state conference. It's put on by it's with the help of and what is it, with the technical college up there that
Fox Valley Tech, yeah.
Fox Valley Tech that does the law enforcement training, but they bring in national level speakers.
When is it?
I can't remember the dates now.
Okay.
It's in,
It's in March.
yeah, I think it's in, it's March of next year at Paper Valley.
Okay.
And I've attended it once along with you, Bob.
Yep.
And at the time with Judge Sharp and Chief Deputy Hogan. One of the presentations that I remember was a national guy who responded after active shooter stuff in the schools and that. And he was, I don't remember his name or whatever, but like a FBI sort of person who does a lot of profiling and different things like that, but it's excellent. It's just, it's not a fluff concert or conference by any means.
March 23rd through the 25th.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't have it in front of me. Thank
Just
you.
looked it up too.
It's on Stacy's email.
Get it out. Very good.
And since it would be, if you had different disciplines within the county go to it, the funding for those would be from all their individual budgets. It's not like any one place would be fronting the cost. I did check in to see if there were grants, like the one that I did last time. When we went on a grant, they ended that a few years ago. And so, no, we would just simply have to budget for it. That's why we're
Good
planning.
thing to be know ahead of time to be able to budget and plan for, so.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think we need to get back into having a presence there, particularly as we talk about security and modifications.
Okay. Anything else on the courthouse security? And then we will, sounds like there's continuing work on that, which is good. All right. Clerk of court.
Hey, good
Yeah.
morning. Big news, good news. Last week, Governor Evers signed Assembly Bill 320. That's the court fees bill that was started with the Wisconsin Clerks of Courts effort, and we got a lot of buy-in from the legislature. Started with Assembly Rep. Tony Kurtz identifying a few court fees that we thought we'd work on. Well, then, as the clerks of court worked more with legislators and Wisconsin County Association and really got our message out down at the Capitol, lawmakers said, you know what, we need to do something much, much broader than this. And so a representative from the Waukesha area actually took up the charge to just go through the statutes, and every single one that pertained to fees captured and kept by the counties within the court system, that's what would be targeted. So it actually also hits into some probate fees. So I don't know how much, the probate folks will get information about this as circuit court automation program. The Mattis and the CCAP folks that develop the software that works in tune with all of the statutes, they're like writing now the details that will be used so that as of the certain dates of things, the system will be intuitive to know what fees to charge depending on the filing and the dates of charges. And it's very complex behind the scenes. And so that will include different probate fees. And the idea was that this would be specifically to capture those that are not shared with the state. And so in a nutshell, now that it's passed, it becomes, you can read more about it, it becomes 2025 Wisconsin Act 179. And in summary, it provides counties with additional funding to support court operations by increasing various court fees and surcharges. And it requires the state director of courts beginning in 2032 and every 6 years to submit a report calculating inflationary adjustments for certain court fees and surcharges. So it builds into it automatic inflationary increases. The Dane County Clerk of Court, we've kind of tasked him with creating a tool so that counties can start to figure out their overall impact on their budgets of this, so that prior to fall, when we develop our budget, we'll have a better idea of how much this increases revenue. Right now, rough estimate is between 80% and 110% of the increase that the counties received from the state budget increase to the circuit court cost appropriation. The first part, the legislation that the clerks of court also started. And then, so going forward to the future, our plan as clerks involved on the legislative committee, and I'm the representative to our court district in the state. So now that the legislature is adjourned for this session, because the legislators, of course, are focused on their elections for the fall, our next steps within the association, things that we're working on, is to have our budget request ready for the new governor. And we are, we're looking at, as we have contact now with anybody, even who's running for the legislature, whether those are people who are opposed, not opposed, incumbents, whatever. As clerks of court, we're working with our membership to make sure people are proactive, they introduce themselves, they talk about court-related issues, and that they continue to educate the next generation of legislators on how the courts are run, how that state-county partnership is. And we'll continue to address the funding disparities between the state and the county. And so, of course, we're starting from scratch again to educate people, but we've been through this, so.
Do we know what the start date of this is? I know he signed the legislation. In my understanding of it, it's immediate.
No, I don't know that it is immediate. It is, parts may be, but what I understand is that the court fees structure of it would be 6 months from
Oh,
the
okay.
governor signing. That's what we've been told, and that the knowledge that we get from like Marcy Rainbow with the
Right,
county
okay.
association.
I didn't see any
And so-
date set in the statute, that's why I was curious where that came.
So some of the things like, the bill also provides, and this might affect right away, that certified interpreters, that they participate in civil proceedings remotely. It's not criminal ones, but, and this was probably more wrangling in the bill than what the court fees was, because, there are judges in the state that won't allow interpreters to appear remotely. Ours is not that way. Judge McDougall is very cognizant of the cost of certified interpreters, and for most hearings that are shorter in nature, we do video. We also do block scheduling. We've done that for many years. I've done that, started that 2 judges ago. And so we control our costs as well as we can in Richland County. Some counties have staff interpreters. Those counties were also kind of opposed to the legislative changes, because it puts us more on a level playing field. We have lost certified interpreters that we were using to Dane County. And so Dane County, Milwaukee County, those that can afford to have people on site, they weren't as excited about some of the changes in the legislation, but the legislation is for the good of the whole. So that change might,
Okay.
things like that, but the court fees, the things that have to be reconfigured in the system, yeah, it can't be immediate because
That's
this will impact filing fees for things like small claims, family actions, motions, all sorts of things like that. And I know that CCAP is working now on the programming for it. And I believe it's like October then it probably
Okay,
would
so
be.
we really shouldn't expect anything in 2026, it's more of a vision for 2027.
Yeah, you won't see much, no. And that's why we said we're working on trying to figure out what the impact is, because we won't really have a good idea unless we do some estimates.
Right.
And it's so vast that, which is good because it will have an impact. It will,
Just,
and that allows us, to keep doing what we're doing without an additional impact to tax levies. So I realize that not everybody is in that same boat, but for us, we are, and that's just proactive work by the clerks of court to do that. And so, kind of following up with that, this, as the new county board comes in, I will continue to kind of work to educate the board, and I would ask for time sometime this summer to be able to give a presentation on like kind of the status of the courts and, what, as an elected official, what the courts do. And then at the June Clerk of Courts Conference, I've been asked to join the Adams County Clerk of Court to present, to kind of key up the clerks on how you talk about access to the courts. That's in a nutshell what the clerks of courts are. We're the front line into the court system. And I have one of these for. And so we're going to talk about access to the courts, controlling the narrative. How you tell people what you do and what it is for a multitude of reasons, not the least of which is to do what we do, which is access to the court so the public understands. And so part of that in this little one-page info thing was something that we developed a few years ago as part of our kind of when we kick-started this whole thing of we were like identifying how are we going to get to what we want. First of all, we have to educate people in what we do. And so break it down into very straightforward, simple terms. And I will never use the words dumb it down because I do not believe in that, but I do believe in writing to a grade level that the majority of people can read and understand, because we're not attorneys and we're not trying to impress anybody with legal speak. We want people to understand what our office is there for And we want boards to understand what we're there for. And so when we have Student Government Day next week, this is a publication that I will use in that, but it's also kind of the jumping point to help clerks talk to people and to really, because they're like, we do so many things. Yeah, but break it down. What are the statutory things that you do? These are the things that must happen. And so that's just one of those like resources.
So on April 28th, we will have county board training for the new staff. So that would be a great time to
Good.
have this picked up. So
So what is is that an all day? What is your format for that? And would I be able to do anything?
Possibly, we were really hoping to more board in general versus department, but we could look at considering that, because we're open for like 2 hours to work with brand new board members, but also board members that typically go around less than a year.
right.
I'll just say the last year before, when we had like the department education stuff, it was so super disappointing. We prepared a lot of stuff and we had some really great things and some multimedia kind of stuff up in the courtroom, and 2 board members came. So I would, rather than have the board members be expected to come to us, I think it's easier for me to come to them. And that's why I would request as an elected official to be able to present. And at some point there were rules that said I was, like supposed to give a report, but that's been kind of like, I know, and since we've had the administrative structure, it's like I've almost been, and not you, Trish, but I've almost been discouraged from giving those types of reports to the full board. And I think there's value in it. I think there's value in the board as representative to the constituents to understand what the courts are here for, what they are. So they're vital. That's my soapbox on that. And I did note that there was, in the minutes from the last meeting, we talked, I'm sure it's just an oversight, that we were gonna have an agenda item to consider the committee name here, and that's not on the agenda, so I didn't prepare anything for you because.
And I, when that came up, I chose not to put it on this committee meeting because we were gonna have the election and the people change. And at that point, that's time to have some of
That makes sense.
Some of that. So that was my decision.
Okay, cool. Thank
Okay.
you for explaining that.
You bet.
And then after this meeting, I'm gonna be meeting with Trish. We are just gonna have a brief discussion about capital improvement stuff for the clerk of court. We had a meeting set for earlier this week and I had a funeral, so I was not able to keep that meeting. But I just have one single request for capital improvement and keep it simple. Want a service window, a proper service window for the clerk of court's office. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Step by step. All right, register and probate.
All right, well, new members, the register and probate is not just probate. We also deal with the guardians of the county. And this is the busiest time of the year because everyone has a deadline of April 15th to try to get their reports in. So people under guardianship, they have a guardian who sends in like an annual report on their condition of how they were the last year, and also they do an annual accounting, which is always fun. And again, the deadline is April 15th, so this is by far the busiest time where people are coming into the office. And how do you fill this out again? I always get that, but I'm gladly to help people try to fill out their paperwork, but they have to do it themselves. We only give guidance. Otherwise, we're always busy with court hearings and just trying to keep on top of things.
Yep, I was actually in the office recently on some stuff, so thank you
Yes.
for your help with that. It's been very good. So, all right, any questions for register and probate? Again, with new people coming on to the next board, but we can share new information.
Yes.
All right, hearing none, moving on, district attorney. District attorney at this point, okay. Ambulance service, no one here for that. That's also been,
Barb did send an email yesterday and asked that information be added to the packet.
I haven't received it.
You didn't receive it. think it went to Derek and I wonder if he didn't get a chance. So she had, just pull it up quick. She had data on numbers, their numbers. So she said regrets that she's unable to attend the April Public Safety meeting. Please find the attached EMS financial report as of today's date. I would like to address the current over budget status. We're in the process of transitioning to a new billing company. As we conclude our existing collections contract, the new billing provider will be reviewing prior accounts, rebilling insurance claims, and pursuing tax intercepts and collections, services that were not provided by the previous company. As a result, I anticipate a positive impact on the overall budget moving forward. Additionally, I'm pleased to report that throughout much of last month, we were able to staff 2 fully operational units. This has allowed us to increase transfer volume and manage all backup calls without the need to request mutual aid from other services. And in her report, their calls for the month of March were 103. Last year's March was 109. Year to date, they are at 286. Last year to date, we're at 364. Total ambulance expenses as far as maintenance on the ambulance is $9,923.85. There have been no employee changes. Year to date revenue is $284,304.62. And year-to-date expenses are $390,089.46 with a deficit of just over $105,000.
All right.
I will get that information added to the packet.
Perfect. Any questions from the committee on that? Hearing none, thank you for the information. Emergency management, anything special from emergency management?
We did interviews yesterday for the emergency management coordinator position and are going to be offering it to someone today.
Awesome.
Have been doing lots of meetings about, Josh has with Darren Gudgeon, just to get him up to speed, get him the training. So that's where things have been going well.
Perfect. All right. So maybe next month we'll have that chat. Good. Excellent. Jay, PSAP 911 grants. I don't know anything new, Devin. Right?
So the NG 911 grant, we were awarded this last month. So we got the award documents submitted and we're continuing to work through the list of priorities for that. And then the PSAP grant, right now we currently have the RFP out for the electrical work in dispatch for replacing the dispatch consoles that were awarded to us. And that's all I can think of.
Do you know how much that award was that you just received?
I can tell you. Maybe. It's a quarterly payment now. So we were awarded $81,580, which will be paid out quarterly,
Awesome.
of
Right.
basically $20,400 a quarter.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions on the SAP 911 grant project? All right, hearing none, radio tower update. Just so the committee knows, this is probably one of the items we can take off the agenda next meeting or two. It's only been on here 6 years, I think, maybe 7. So.
It's been fun.
Check. So anything new on that, so we can start closing this one out?
Just waiting on last few agencies to get programmed to run on it, and then we should be ready to switch everybody over, switch everything on. Our old equipment has started to arrive here.
Okay.
So I'm hoping we can find a more permanent home for that somewhere else soon, but But yeah, we're starting to pull the old equipment out of temper sites and yeah, we're ready to go.
And how is it working?
Good, it's working great. Yeah, you know, it's all this money, all this work for me just to say it's working good, but it's doing its job. It's doing what we wanted it to do. You know, we'll see coverage numbers when we do that final drive testing in the fall. But everything appears to be
Okay.
what we wanted it to be, so.
And we'll bring the updated budget to full county board at the request of Public Works that requested that I have that full county board meeting. For you guys to see where our numbers are.
Good call, yeah. Call. All right. Anything new on that? Questions on that? After many
Years.
Item number 9, correspondence. Correspondence, future agenda items. We will follow up on that
Thank you.
named question. Anything else on future agenda items? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. Yeah, Cosgrove, motion to adjourn, second by Thompson. All in favor, say aye.
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 What's the date for the next meeting?
First Friday.
You first.
I'll be one.
Well, committees that have already met by then and have a committee decided.
Yes, there is a plan to have all the committees decided by the end of the month. So we will have to have a special board meeting at the end of the last week of April so that we are able to get committees going in May.
Okay.
Bob, thanks for chairing this committee.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure. We'll see what happens next round. And Chad, thank you for being on the group. You're not coming back, so. All right. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's your request. I know all about that, Stacy. Okay, I just put it in.
Yeah, just,
Yes.